So I'm just gonna. No, you'll. I'm gonna leave you to do this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna.
Absolutely.
Great. Super. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name's Doug Farrand. I'm the interim president of the congregation of this church, which is something I never thought I'd ever say. But life takes you in weird directions. The thing I wanted to say, I'm very happy to bless that Charles and Sabrina are with us this morning. So this is the Faith and Works Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Orange. Try and add a new name. It's good to say. I think it's not less of a mouthful than the old name, but it's maybe fits on them in the mouth like a little more easy. And we are a congregation that, as probably you all know, we started the hub 7 years ago. But our congregation is also, our buildings are also home to a lot of grassroots organizations. University of Orange, the organization that Molly founded 15 years ago, that along with Lambie and Laundry Workers Center, National Domestic Workers. And so, that sort of the things, but as we've been working on our planning, address displacement and gentrification in Orange in particular, I've been personally thinking a lot about how many of cities that we're living in are profoundly people of faith. And presence of the Unitarian Church here as well. So a little more intense in the work than we have done in the past. One of the biggest things I personally learned is that our work is always way ahead, like the practice is way ahead of our understanding. The work is always leading, and it's for that reason that I'm really, we've been doing this flower community. We don't really understand it, I think, which is why I'm so happy to provide some context and find some light on what flower communion is, what it means, and seen and gonna do today. So we realize.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is the 100th anniversary of the Flower Communion. This is a big deal in the UUA. They've organized a lot of services in recognition of that. The Unitarians in Prague are probably doing stuff. I don't know what. So that is a connection to our international groups, which are a little different than people in North America. My name is Sabrina Trupia, and I use they, them pronouns.
And I am, well, it says Reverend Charles, which sounds so pretentious to say, but you were a big part of me making that transition, a big part of that process. So I am pleased to be able to say that. And my pronouns, I use he and they pronouns, and it's a pleasure to be here. And one thing I want to add to that really quickly, Sabrina, before we get started. I think one way to ground flower communion is that if you think of other religious traditions, often there's a very set liturgy that helps people to know what they're doing, right? So, and in some Christian traditions, in many Christian traditions, there's the idea of communion, right? And communion is when the community comes together. It originally started as just eating together, having food, right? Breaking bread together. But as it took on significance, it kind of changed in different forms. We as UUs, we don't have a lot of rituals of that sort, right? In fact, we often are adverse to those kinds of rituals. The reason flower communion is particularly interesting is it sort of brings some of that liturgical element into play, but rather than focusing on this sort of high theology piece, right? It's more about the simplicity of the flower and the beauty of the flower and the community and the universalism of it, right? Because we all, almost all of us, have some experience with nature in this way. So I think it's great to be sharing this service in the way that you do it, which is another great thing about it, right? So many traditions, communion is pretty much the same no matter where you go, right? But in our tradition, every UU congregation you walk into is probably doing this in a different way. We're going to begin with words as we light our chalice. And good luck with me keeping it lit.
So if you can please repeat after me. These words: we hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. Thank you. And also to follow up on what Charles was saying, we know UU congregation does flower communion on the same day. The actual anniversary is in June because it's just when Capek thought of it, but I've had it done in April, May, June, and there are groups of Unitarians that are in Europe that they consider a flower communion. They discuss the sermon. That's the flower of their ideas shared among each other. So that's the other meaning. So.
Chalice is going to be virtual today.
Yeah.
This wonderful.
Yes.
Isn't quite cooperating yet. So for Faith Plus Words, as we were just talking about, this is the anniversary of the flower communion, but it's particularly special, as you know, for this congregation because Norbert Fabian Capek and his family were members here in this church. They signed the book, right? The official way of becoming a UU, or at that moment, Unitarians. We weren't UUs yet, we were just Unitarians. That was on January 10th, 1921. Norbert had been a Baptist minister and had lived in this area, first in Newark and then in Belleville. And he quit that ministry because he started to disagree with some of the doctrines. And so he was looking for a place of worship, a place of religious education for his children, a place of community. And they knew as a family they were preparing to move back to Czechoslovakia, where they were going to try to start a new religious movement there. So Capek had a very interesting life. He ended up founding the fellowship in Prague, and later he was part of the organized resistance against Nazi forces. He played a huge part in that. And sadly, he ended up spending 14 months and then dying at Dachau. UUs remember him as one of our Unitarian martyrs.
So Capek had planned to move out of the United States before he became a member here in 1921. But a lot of things happened. The sale of his home in Belleville fell through, or he didn't get enough money. He ended up not having enough money to book passage on a boat for him and his family. And so once he started frequenting the church here in Orange, he had a little bit of luck because the president of the American Unitarian Association, which is the precursor to the UUA of today, Dr. Samuel Atkins Elliott, was visiting here. And so they met. And Capek got a chance to talk to him about what he wanted to do. And he asked the president of the AUA to financially support him in his founding of this fellowship in Prague, or at least pay for his passage in a few months so that he could get members. And so he was able to do that, and he was able to get some money to move to Czechoslovakia, to Prague.
So Capek was extremely successful with what he did in Czechoslovakia, and his wife, and how do you pronounce her name? Is it Maya? Maya? It's M-A-J-A. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. Maya. Their congregation in Czechoslovakia was very, very popular. They packed upwards of, catch this, 3,000 people on Sundays. So much so that they had to repeat the sermon given on Sunday on Tuesday, and they were hosting other weekly activities. And during this entire time, Capek kept the AUA apprised of the success that they had with this fellowship by writing regularly. That's probably one of the most important pieces, because he was in constant communication with the AUA. The AUA was able to share the story more broadly. So it became such a success and a selling point. I think that's part of why it gained the status that it did among Unitarians.
And so, yeah, and he wanted to justify that they were spending the money in a good place and they were doing good for humanity, basically. And so on June 25th, 1923, Capek wrote the following to Dr. Elliott, the president of the AUA. He wrote, "We are trying to find new expressions of our religious life very slowly and carefully. We have made a new experiment and symbolize our liberty and brotherhood in a service that was so powerful and impressive that I never experienced anything like it." And then he goes on to explain what they did, which is the traditional way of doing flower communion is everybody brings flower, they put them on the altar or on a table, and then everybody takes a flower that they didn't bring and takes it with them. So then he says, "I emphasize our common cause, our belonging together as a spiritual community," end quote. So this is what we're celebrating today. And everywhere a flower communion is celebrated this year, whether it be for Mother's Day or in June or back in April, we celebrate our spiritual community across fellowships and across the world.
So I said that Unitarians don't all do this the same way, right? Unitarian Universalists. One of the things I love about what you do here, you're the only congregation I've ever heard of where the ceremony is about planting flowers rather than taking flowers. I think Capek would have loved that, because there's something about being grounded and the continuous cycle. I just think it's a beautiful thing, and sort of grounding the work that we do, because in the same way that the roots need to be grounded in the earth, people need to be grounded in the community. And that's at the heart of why we gather. That's the heart of hopefully why we do everything that we do. It's about grounding. So we have these beautiful flowers today. Thank you, Aaron. So we're going to consecrate these, and they're going to be planted using the original words of Capek's first flower communion, right? So these are his original words. And remember, these are the 1920s, so it's not exactly the words we would use today, right? But good for us in commemoration of this important anniversary. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these messengers of fellowship and brotherly love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. Into that.
Amen. So what we do now is, while we listen to music, and then at the end of it, we will give a blessing. No.
We have tools.
I don't know. They're getting.
I have sunscreen.
Yes, we're there.
Sorry.
You know what else? We're gonna bless this whole flowers that might be added in the future.
Or even the
automatically
weeds.
blast.
Yeah,
Right.
or even the weeds. Yes,
Before they
yes,
came.
yes, that's
And-
correct. I didn't see him, sorry. I know nothing about plants.
But you want me to check it out? Check right?
Sure. Oh, it is a plant.
No,
Oh.
It attracts the spotted lantern.
Oh,
Yes. Oh. Sure. Or no, oh, that's a big.
oh, it is.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah, that one's a good.
good.
Victor did a pretty good job of cleaning up. Great, I mean, last time you're also, I feel like. They did well, summer months. Well, the fall, gorgeous, right?
Like a.
All in my phone. Don't think it's as much as
Yeah.
but Montclair.
So is Michael and Tariq would have been forwarded by the local, not by us.
Good morning. Good day.
Flowers are doing.
There is a lot. Because two criteria. Oh, this is a very sensitive criteria. So. And their response was. There. Okay.
All right.
Meeting. So we're gonna.
Yeah, we're just gonna bless the flowers and then go in peace. May the flowers we have planted this morning remind us that we're all precious and we're all beautiful, each in our own unique and special way. Together we create an amazing garden. May this garden flourish and may it bless the world. And may all of us be guided always by the transforming power of love. Now go in peace.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Ed.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah,
There.
thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.